I'm not even so sure a peace greeting would be appropriate for this one. I'm going to start by giving a shout out to Saad Imam in San Antonio. Now, to you, I'm going to give a peace greeting. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. I hope things are going well out there in Tejas, and hopefully that cost of living will not go up. He put out something on his podcast, and y'all can find him on Facebook. And it's about simp wakils. Now, for those who don't know, when a woman decides she wants to get married, she can either have a wali, which is a male relative, be her representative in terms of looking for someone and also vetting men that are interested or in whom she's interested. She's allowed to be interested for marriage. And a wakil, literally, the closest translation to wakil will be agent or representative. And that's somebody that's not necessarily a male representative. Either a male relative. It's not a male relative. So the male relative could say, okay, well, I'm vetting, but I'm also going to appoint this other man to vet some man, let's say maybe in another city. That's allowed. If she doesn't have a male relative that is Muslim, she can then find a trusted male, like her friend's husband, as an example, or maybe a female Muslim relative's husband, that can then vet men for her. Whether it's a man that asks about marrying her, or whether it's a man she asks about marrying. You got, in the African American community especially, I know. Now, this exists in other communities, but it depends on which ethnic community you're talking about amongst the Muslims. But in the African American community, I already know, we got some simp nigga problems. And one of the ways that you can tell that a wakil is a simp is when he's sitting up here betting on behalf of a sister who may have 5 kids by 8 different baby daddies. Do the math on that. There's just all kind of red flags, the typical trifling stuff. But he doesn't care anything about that. He seeks to merely make sure that the man meets standards. Forget about meeting standards that bring him up to her level. He needs to meet normal standards to be with a sub-normal sister and marry her. Now, were it not for the fact that fornication is categorically forbidden, I would look at fornication as a weapon in a gender war. But it is categorically forbidden. Abu American, Mahdi Tijani, I, and Saad Imam do not call for fornication as some sort of weapon or as a goal. So in all honesty, red-pilled Muslim men are going to be different from red-pilled non-Muslim men in that regard. Now, we can get along with them, but this is where we are different. But I am very grateful that he called this phenomena out, because I saw myself in a Muslim group on Facebook. A man who I'm going to call HH, double H. Now, Saad Imam knows exactly who the heck I'm talking about. And this simp ninja actually told a man, a Muslim man wrote somewhere, and we have the screenshot in this group. He wrote somewhere, my wife told me in a fit of anger one day that my son ain't actually even my son, and she left. And what should I do? She called me a few days later after she left, and I said, I want my son and my family. But what should I do? We still aren't back together yet, and we're still on the outs right now. And HH wrote back to this dude and replied saying to him, you need to go there and get your family back. You the only one that boy knows. That's your family. HH, how could you tell a man this? Understand something. The fact that we don't have a double standard regarding fornication in our religion does not mean that there's no reason for it. It just means God said, nope, we're not doing that. Not when it comes to the actual penalties and how bad it is. Certainly, but understand, when that woman cheats, She has a fit of anger at the man on whom she cheated, then decides to go ahead and tell him, you know what, he ain't your baby. She did that man a favor. She gave that man a clean break. That man needs to leave her. He can miss the kid and love the kid and all that, but the best thing he can do for that kid is to say, look, my door is open to you independently of your mother. My door is open to you and it is not open to her. But I'm not going to lie to you and tell you that I'm your biological father. Your dad has a right to know about you, and you have a right to know who your dad is. And even if he ain't going to be there for you like I am, you still have a right to know, because I bet you his family will be glad to know about you. And you got a right to know them as well. And they got a right to know you. You can come visit me as a young friend, a young brother. That's great. We are brethren in faith. I don't mind teaching you things I know, but I'm not going to lie to you and tell you I'm your biological father when she done sat up and said that I'm not. That's the best way for that man to handle it. It satisfies all of the justice there. It does not take her confession and throw it out the window. It does not incentivize women doing this to other men, because let's be honest, it's not the bad guys out there to whom these women do these things. It's good guys. When they commit paternity fraud, whether she is a Muslim or she is a Christian, whether he is a Muslim or he is a Christian, we know that in the West, including the African American Muslim community, in the West, it is the nicer man that is more likely to be done this wrong. Because part of the training of the Western woman, black and white alike, and that includes black women that are Muslim, part of the training of the Western woman is to look at nice, well-behaved, responsible men as sub-men, half-men, betas, and they deserve this sort of thing. And you can't help it because you're a woman and it's your nature, and he just needed to be more manly. But since he's a nice guy and he's going to take care of you and what he thinks is his responsibility, go ahead and lie to him about his responsibility, because he'll at least take care of it. You can't help it. By the way, that's his baby now. This takes the tough choice that God put in front of women to make, because it's a tough choice, because he does these things to men and women alike. And it says to her, you don't make the tough choices. The men just need to go ahead and pay according to how you want them to pay, so that you never have to make the tough choice. Sleep with this guy whose DNA you want. Pass the baby off as belonging to the man whose resources you want. That's how you do it. And HH sat up here and told this man to do exactly what he shouldn't have done. HH, when you hear this, you know who you are. I'm not going to call your real name or your whole name and embarrass you like that. But when you hear this, you will know who you are. Stop it. And you being, maybe you a little bit too comfortable with that lady that you interviewed, who sat up and told you and everybody else on there that she scams men out of money. And then got started cussing out another lady before the lady even got on to join that phone call with you and her, because she thought the other lady was going to rat her out. She just got through ratting herself out. What the hell did she think this other lady was going to rat her out for that she had not already ratted herself out for doing? Confessing to doing. This shows you that she's still holding secrets that are worse. You're too cozy with her, and now you sitting up telling a man to do exactly what a demon succubus woman like she is would want such men to do. You, sir, must hate men, especially good Muslim men who don't cheat on their wives. That's the only thing I can think of. And if you do have that hatred did not come from God. Why would Allah put hatred in a man's heart for men who don't deserve this, and then have this done to them, and then have to face a decision and then put this kind of hatred in your heart to tell them to make the worst decision, take her back and take responsibility for the boy? Excuse me? What the hell do you think is going to happen if more men and women see this advice and then the men start following it? You know what the women going to do? They're not only going to commit paternity fraud, they're going to rub it in the men's faces like she did when she got angry. And you know what? We should be asking that man, what the hell made her this father mucking angry? that she would say this to you other than you cheating on her? Now, I mean, if that man actually, you know what? And then there's an answer to that. Other than him cheating on her, what would make her that feathermucking angry? You know what it is? Because if it had been cheating, he probably would not have told anybody. No, so what is it that's legitimate? It's not like cheating, but it feels the same way to her. See, everybody listening, most of y'all already know what the F that is, and that's polygyny. So she can cheat with another man and pass that baby off as his, which probably means she did this while she was married to her husband. But then he can't marry another woman legitimately. You see the double standard? This one of them ladies that believes in polyandry. And mark my words, there's going to come a day when it becomes socially acceptable amongst Muslim women of the West to practice polyandry and to refuse to accept polygyny. And I'm going to say this, I don't believe that polygyny should be limited to only the wealthy, man. I believe that it should be an option, maybe 2 wives should be an option for normal men. I think that should be the case. Maybe not 3 or 4, but 2. Nope, needs to be an option, needs to be normalized. Now, some say, well, that's just going to make it harder for more normal men to get married. It's already harder. Not for them to get married. Right now, what's hard is for them to get actually respected. These men are single anyway. When they get married, normal men, when they do get married, they're still single. I know, I was a normal man that got married to a Muslima in the West. And eventually I became single again. Before we divorced, I was single. And what she didn't know is that I was used to that kind of isolation. I was accustomed to it. Didn't complain about it to her at all. Didn't try to work that out. I gave her chances to stop doing that, but, come to her and tell her, look, this really bothers me. And shuck that fit. You want to act like that? I'm the one that's used to being alone. Came to find out later on that most men were capable of that. Most normal men have had to be alone for long stretches at a time. It's the ladies that always had options. So I know the damage that this is going to do, especially in a place like the United States. And you sitting up here taking the most damaging route, HH, and telling the man to do this. I think you got a little bit too comfortable. I mean, on one hand, I didn't hold anything against you when I saw the interview with you and this lady, not the wife that I'm talking about, but with you and this single mom living in the Midwest, with apparently not even normal human eyes. Looked to me like maybe they had contacts. Sitting up there bragging and boasting about this. I didn't hold anything against you for being too comfortable. After all, it was an interview, and she confessed, and I was like, okay, so that's what's going on. You know, my wife saw that interview, by the way. And she was damn near ready to throw up. She said this woman's possessed by, maybe not even possessed, but certainly controlled and influenced by not even a jinn, but an actual demon. Something is going on with this woman. I'm telling you, if you could spray demon repellent on people, you'd probably see something jump out of her as soon as you sprayed it. You were comfortable. Now I understand why. It wasn't just because you were doing an interview and you were allowing her to tell the gainful information. No, that's not why. You were comfortable, sir, because you, for whatever reason, hate men. And frankly, I think you hate women too in the long term if you're going to sit up there and tell them stuff like this, because you know that's not going to work. One of the 6 sacred possessions of the Muslim is his lineage. The other one is there's 6 of them, but one is his lineage. The other one is his intellect, his sanity. You are telling men to do things that are going to trash their lineage and threaten their own sanity. Now, if that's going to happen, this is going to trash the lineage of the children, sir. That man, what you need to tell that man to do, HH, is to hit me up, sir. Oh, and to the brother in question who was asking for that advice, if you're listening, you should not have had to ask what to do. But since you do have to ask, I don't mind telling you what's going to help you, sir. because why not? The best thing to do is to tell that woman to get lost. Don't talk to you anymore. Don't hit you up anymore. She confessed to adultery. Appreciate that. But that means we ain't talking no more. Especially if she had a fit of anger because you mentioned polygyny. No. In our religion, if there is a double standard, that's one of the double standards. Men are the protectors and the maintainers of women. That is true. By the same token, we marry 2, 3, or 4, and there is no limit to the concubines, and they don't get to have another man. They get to have a husband, and that's it. One ding-a-ling. That's it. And there's no other man they can go bothering for stuff either. That's what it is. And that's something that's going to have to be accepted because, like I said, there's no other man that can go bothering for stuff. There's no other man that is responsible to protect and to maintain her. There are men who will, but no other men are responsible for that. So you, sir, deserve exactly what the hell she thinks you don't deserve. And I would say to you, ditch her. Be nice to the boy, but tell him what the truth is if you have contact with him again. And then you fit the guck up. You work, you stack your bread, and you fit the guck up out the States. And you marry someone from outside of not just outside the United States, you marry somebody from outside of the West, sir. And you marry a woman who ain't either she's a widow or she ain't never been married before, and as far as you will know, she's a virgin. And then, and if it turns out that she is not one and she was never married before, you send her back to her dad's house the next day, and you move on and start the process over again. Because if you ain't cheating, you don't deserve to be cheated on. End of story. When you gonna tell these brothers that, HH? Thanks for listening. Black heart, black mind, blackout. And now you know why I say Assalamu alaikum and black heterosexual non-select male power. Just because these paternity fraudsters don't like it. And black patriarchy until extinction or judgment day.